Hey there, Vanagon Addicts. It's Ken Wilford here at Vanagon, coming to you on this Friday, April the 5th, 2019. Hope you guys are doing great, having a great day. And we are having a great day here at Vanagon. I just wanted to touch base with you guys and see how you're doing. I'm trying to get the page to come up so I can see your comments and all this other stuff, but it's being weird. So let me see if I can get that to come up here. Here we go. Alright. So it's good to have you guys out here with us today. I see Jackbox is out here. Good to see him. Say hi to Jackbox. If anybody else comes on, come on and say hi to us. But it's good to have you guys out here. Sorry, I see Steve DeRuiter. Good to have him as well. And so it's good to have you guys with us today. I don't know how long of a live stream we're going to have today. We're just going to kind of play it by ear, depending on if you guys have any questions about things. But I wanted to talk for a few minutes about turn signals and taillights on Vanagons. This you would think would be a very simple thing to talk about, but there's actually a little bit going on because of the fact that you can no longer get the DOT approved turn signals for the Vanagon. So and you can't get OEM ones either, as far as I can tell. Okay, I might be wrong on that, but I'm pretty sure that the OEM ones are not available. And so we're going to start with the front turn signals and talk about them for a minute. Okay, you say this, turn signals. Who cares about that? Well, you need turn signals. They need to work, and a lot of times at this point in time, they get all full of water. And they're pretty much gone at that point. Okay, if you have a turn signal that's full of water, it's trash, because what's going to happen is the water's going to get in, it's going to wreck the electrical stuff inside, and then it's ruined. Okay, so here is a new turn signal that we have. This is kind of like a stock version of a Vanagon front turn signal. We have another video where you can see how to repair the socket wiring and stuff on the back. I have a thing about that. So I'm not going to really talk about that socket wiring, but what I'm going to talk about a little bit is, so this turn signal here, this is made by JP Group. And you're going to see that right here in the middle, there's this notch. Okay, that's because this is actually the only version that you can get right now, which is the European version that has this little notch looking thing in it. In Europe, these lights were actually just for, they were not turn signal indicators, I don't think. I think they were just for, or maybe they just were that. I can't remember. They only did one function. Okay, so like this JP Group one has a socket that comes with it. It only has one wire that goes to it, because I think it was just to light up. Okay. In Europe, they had different rules for the turn signals than we have here. Maybe it just blinks only. I don't know. Maybe one of you guys can clear that up for me. But anyway, it doesn't have two filament light like we have here. It just has a single filament. You can put our version of the socket in here. But when you go to do that, you have to do a little slight mod onto it. Let me go get you a socket, and I'll show you what I'm talking about here. So you can't really use the socket that comes with it. Most of them, I guess a lot of them come with sockets. But this is what I'm talking about. Our socket, okay, here in the US, we got 3 pins on it. This one that's coming with this thing has 1. Okay. Let me take the socket out of here. It should just come out really easy. This one's being hard. It's glued in. Oh my gosh. But anyway, it's like stuck in there forever. The only difference is on the back here of the socket, you're going to see there's like these little tabs. I think it's actually this tab right here. When you go to push it down and lock it in, the tab is going to keep it from seating in all the way, because these ones have a little thing that's kind of like blocking it. So you just have to take a razor knife and kind of cut this tab off, and that'll allow it to seat all the way so you can use these on a US van. Okay. And they work perfectly fine. If you replace both of them, I would recommend 2. Okay, because of this indentation right here. You would want to replace them both. Okay. We have them in stock. We have the sockets. Okay, the new sockets. These sockets, again, we sell these all the time. These are actually Hella OE Hellas. Okay, and they're not even expensive. We have them on the website, and we sell them all the time because, just to be honest with you, like I said, the old ones of these get full of water. People leave it alone, and then, you know, it rusts and corrodes the bulbs, the sockets, everything. Then you get that fast, you know, fast flashing thing. That's actually on purpose to, you know, keep you from, it's to let you know that one of the bulbs is burnt out. Okay, usually it's the front one. Alright, so, and the Golf GTI engine, okay. We'll talk about that in a second, Jackbox. Alright, so that is the stock front turn signal. However, okay, there is more, okay. It's mostly just cosmetic, but there is also, okay, there's also smoked front turn signals, okay. We have those as well. These are basically smoked, or they kind of look like a grayish color. Alright, those are also made by JP Group. When we sell them, they come with an orange bulb inside because, you know, you want to be able to see the turn signal. Okay, so those are on the site if you guys need or want to go with a smoked look. Okay, you can get these smoked turn signals. Let me put it back in this bag here real quick. And then there's also one more version that you can get, which is this version here, the clear version. Okay, so this is the clear version. This is also made by JP Group. So JP Group is making all of these different versions, okay, of the turn signals. This is a clear version. The clear version, for some weird reason, has another light down here. I'm not quite sure what that's all about. Does that one have it? That one might have it too. The smoke one might have it too. But, oh, look, this came out. Yeah, it wasn't glued in. You know, you can see they have this orange bulb here. Okay. So, you know, these are all available. And the smoked version and the clear version, again, you know, it's basically considered cosmetic. Okay, you're trying to make a look. You're doing a look. Okay, so if you want the clear look, you go with this one. If you want a smoked look, you go with the other one. If you want the stock look, you got the stock orange one. Jackbox says it was considered a running light. I thought that's what it was, actually. Alright. I will talk about that, Robert. Good to have you with us, Robert LeBeau. Good to have you with us today. So that's the front ones. Okay, we have all these 3 different versions available. Then let's move on to the rears. Now the rears, okay, I've actually got some OEM rear taillights. Okay, this is Hella. They're very nice. Okay, I don't know how much longer we're going to get these, but it says this was made in 2017, so I'm assuming they're still making them. Very, very nice. Best quality you can get. Made in Germany. All that good stuff. Okay, that's on the site right now. JP Group also makes a version of this, but we get an awesome deal on these. Okay, I was going to talk about the LED bulbs in a minute. Alright, so everybody's getting ahead of me. So that, you know, we have those if you want to go with the stock look. We also have these right here. This is what you would consider the smoked version. Okay, that's made by JP Group. Now I think there's another smoked version I've seen out there where everything's dark. On these versions, it's really just it's the turn signal. Okay, the turn signal. And you know, to be honest with you, I don't know if I would want the whole thing to be dark because you want people to see your brake lights, right? I don't want to crash. I mean, I know you want people to see your turn signal too, but brake lights, yeah. So this is the JP Group version. This is what it looks like. It has blacked out turn signal, smoked like backup light. Okay, so okay, take a look at that. And then there's also, and you would be using, you know, orange bulb and thing on that. It would come with it. And then this one, okay, is what we consider the clear tail light. Okay, also made by JP Group. But again, what is it doing? It's clearing your turn signal part. This is normally clear, but it clears this. Okay, so you have an orange bulb in here, and it has a slightly different look to it. Okay, and I know people really like these different, you know, looks of things just to make their van kind of stand out and pop and that kind of stuff. So, you know, I'm just saying, if you wanted that, if you need that, let us know. We will take care of you on that. As Jackbox was saying earlier, if you want to go with LED bulbs, right? There's LED bulbs out there to basically replace every bulb you can imagine on your van. But if you go with turn signals, okay, guys, you're going to need the proper bulbs, which this is one of them right here, okay? But you're also going to need a special blinker module, because when you put LED bulbs into your van without a newer blinker module that's made for LED bulbs, yeah, it thinks that you have burnout bulbs, so it flashes real fast. Okay, it's looking for a filament. Okay, it's looking for a resistance of a filament, and that's how it flashes. When it doesn't see that filament resistance, okay, it blinks fast. Now, I don't understand really why when they make the LED turn signal bulbs, they don't just put that in. You know, they could put a small resistor in there, and it would basically trick the system that's in there to think it's a regular bulb and it's working. But for whatever reason, they didn't do that. I have the relays here if you need one. I have some of them. I have to put them on the site. I'm basically getting ready to put together a kit of, you know, the LED bulbs, and we're going to be using our van to our 91 Karat that Rob was asking about. We're going to be using that as kind of like our test mule for all that stuff. So you'll be able to see. Actually, when I bought it, I didn't realize it, but they had replaced all of their external bulbs, except for the headlights, which we sell them. They had actually replaced all of them with LEDs already. So it's been a few years ago, so actually we have newer versions of some of the bulbs. We'll see maybe how they, you know, how they work out. So what's happening right now with the 91 Karat? Rob's asking about the restoration. I mean, I have a customer that wants to buy it. He's been asking about it. But here's the deal. I have a bus here that we're trying to finish before we go away on vacation next week. That has to take top priority. So I haven't been able to work on the Karat because of that. So I just got that running yesterday, that bus, and hopefully it'll be done before we leave. But I don't think we're going to get back on the Karat until we get back from our Belize trip. So, and I see Chris Snyder, good to have him with us. So, you know, just that's what's going to happen. We're not going to be back from our Belize trip till towards the end of April. So that's going to be when the Karat videos should start back up again. So stay tuned for that. As I told you guys last week, we're going to be going to Belize next week. Okay, and we'll be down there for a couple weeks. Going to be driving a 1990. Let's see, I'm trying to remember. I think it's a 91 VW bus, water cooled. Okay, that was made in Mexico, and this guy bought it. So we're going to be working on that for him. And then my friend who has an 87 Wolfsburg that we've been staying at his house for years and years, we're going to be maybe rebuilding the entire front end on that while we're down there as well. We'll have to see how our time goes. But you know, usually when I go down, we stay in his house and we fix his van, work on his van. This year, long story short, he was having a bunch of guests, and we rented a house. So, yeah, I see Chris. We've been praying for Chris. He is one of our Patreon supporters, so we definitely appreciate him. And Chris is going through dialysis right now, so just keep him in your prayers. He's not having much fun on that, but we're praying that goes well for Chris and things go good for him. All right, so that's basically what's happening with us. We've been just trying to continue to research parts and things, get new parts, get things, but we're trying to really wrap up some things. So when we go to Belize, we're still going to be doing orders and that kind of thing. But I can't be here like working on a van, so we're trying to get that stuff done here before we leave. Okay, so Jackbox asked a question about Golf GTI engine, a popular swap in the UK, is the same in the US. It used to be. It used to be. And I just had a talk with several people this week about engine conversions. So here's my ramble about engine conversions. So back in the day, people would buy diesel Vanagons, right? And they would take the diesel engine out. They would put in a inline 4-cylinder, sometimes from a Golf GTI, sometimes from a Rabbit, sometimes from a Jetta. And they would put in an air-cooled Vanagon transmission to kind of go with it, with the gearing. And that was a pretty nice conversion. It wasn't that hard back in the 90s, early 2000s. There was lots of those cars out there. But for a while now, that's kind of dried up. One of the problems, as cars are getting newer and newer, the motors you're trying to get, okay, you run into problems dealing with the immobilizer system. So anything after, I think in Volkswagen world, in 1996, 97-ish, is when they started installing the immobilizer. I mean, you guys can correct me if I'm wrong on that. And the problem with the immobilizer is you have to get the computer reprogrammed to disable it. And as time is going on, they're making that more and more difficult to do. Okay. So as time has went on, the Volkswagen world, it's been less and less of people doing inline 4-cylinder VW conversions, as far as I know. Now, there's a place in Maine that does them, Foreign Auto Supply, okay, in Harpswell, Maine. They probably have their own setup they like. I know they have a totally different mounting system. They've changed from the diesel to a different mounting system, updated exhaust system. And they probably have their own wiring harness and things that they use. I'm not sure. I haven't talked to them about that because I haven't really went down that road in a long time. There are also, of course, all the Subaru conversions out there. There are the Bostig conversions, which is basically a Ford Focus engine, and that we've done we've done a few of them, or one of them. I can't remember. They all kind of blend together over time. So, what do I think about engine conversions? Well, I think they can be good. Okay, I think they can be a good option for someone if they want to do that. But I will tell you the good sides and the downsides, and then you have to decide what you want to do. Okay, so the good side of an engine conversion is more power. Okay, possibly, maybe better fuel mileage, but it depends. You're still pushing a brick down the road. Maybe, possibly more reliability. Okay, so those are all the benefits. And a newer engine management system where you could possibly have OBD2, have some kind of a scanner thing hooked up so you can see what's happening. Okay, all these are kind of upsides to newer engines into a Vanagon. Okay, the downside to it is that it's always more expensive. So this is one of the things people call me. They're like, Ken, I want to do an engine conversion because it's cheap. I'm like, how is it cheap? They're like, well, I have a 2000 and something Passat that's a piece of junk, but the motor's good. I have a Vanagon I'm going to put the two things together and make this nice conversion. That sounds good, but by the time you get all of the stuff together, you spend hours and hours and hours researching this, getting all the parts, putting the parts together. Okay, a lot of people give up. Okay, a lot of people give up. Just to be honest with you, they don't realize how difficult it is until they're like in the middle of it. I had a customer bring me a 91 GL Vanagon here, like this has been 10 years ago, 15 years ago, and they had started to do a conversion from like an ABA engine from a 93 or 4, I don't know, 95 Jetta, and they got right in the middle of it and they just gave up and put it on eBay and sold it. And this guy said, oh, it's almost done on the eBay auction, almost done. So the guy brought it here. He had paid $5,000 for it. What it was, they had fabricated some cheesy engine mounts, and they had it mounted to the transmission. It was an automatic, I think, with an adapter plate, and that was it. Okay, and that was almost done. Okay, it was in the car. The motor was in the car, but that wasn't almost done. There was no engine management system. There was no like coolant system. There was like a bunch of things that needed to be done. Pretty much 75% of the stuff needed to be done. So no exhaust system. I called the customer. I said it's going to be $6,000 more. He's like, no, it's going to be cheap because it's almost done. And the guy says, I'm like, listen, it's going to be like at least $6,000 more. Okay. He's like, no. I'm like, listen, if you want to take it somewhere else, take it somewhere else. It's fine. I'm not, I haven't done anything yet. I just looked at it. And I'm willing to do it. Foolishly. No, I'm just kidding. I'm willing to do it, but, it's going to cost at least $6,000 more. So he got off the phone. He called me back after he calmed down a little bit, which, I mean, it wasn't my fault. I'm trying to tell him what's going on. Okay, you just do it. And we did it. It costs like extra $6,000. There was a lot more work to be done. Okay. And, it turned out pretty nice. But, okay, we had done conversions before. I had some experience with that. I mean, a person that's just doing it on their own, believe me, you have to do so much work. So that's why it's nice about the kit. So you have a kit. Okay, I'm going to buy a Boston kit. I'm going to buy a Subaru kit. I'm going to buy a FAS kit. Okay, and there's a couple others out there, I know. There's a guy who's doing TDIs. I had a customer did one of them. I think it's Boxy or Boxy in North Carolina. But here's the deal. So if you're getting a kit that has the stuff in it, it's expensive. Okay, it's expensive. And really, the more complete the kit is, the more expensive it is. So if you're looking at, to compare it, okay, rebuilt water boxer, okay, rebuilt water boxer, new exhaust system, a bunch of new items and things. Say you want to get a whole new wiring harness, you want to get a rebuilt computer, rebuilt idle unit, new idle stabilizer, all this stuff. I would say ballpark on that put in would be $8,000 to $10,000. Okay, you're like, oh, that's a lot. That's a lot. Okay, Subaru conversion. I'm talking about somebody putting it in. Okay, and all that stuff is new on the motor. Now, a lot of times people buy used engines for that. But say you're going to do it right, you want to compare it. Okay, so rebuilt Subaru, new wiring harness. I don't even know if they make them, but maybe. All new, as much as possible stuff on the motor. You're probably looking at $20,000. 15 to 20. Okay, 15 to 20. So, this is the problem. So, I don't understand what he's saying. So, this, it's not cheaper, is what I'm trying to say. It's not cheaper. Now, it might be all them other things. It might be more reliable. Or it might not. Okay? If you're interested in something, I would say you go onto their forum. Bostig has a forum. They have a mail list. Subaru has a forum, has a mailing list. A lot of these other conversions, they either have a forum or people talk about it on the Samba or something like that, and just be on there for a little while and just watch what's going on. Okay, the Subaru forum is very active, and some of it is, hey, I need help with this and that, but then there's also people breaking down and having problems here, problems there. You know, the ironic part is a lot of Subaru motors are known for head gasket problems. So, you know, people say, I'm tired of these head gasket problems. I'm going to get a Subaru motor, put it in there. Guess what? Head gasket problems. Okay. So, sadly, yes. So, that's my, you know, thing on conversions. Have you guys done conversions? What do you think about conversions? Am I telling you what's right? Am I lying to you? I don't really have any skin in this game whatsoever. Like, I don't actually rebuild engines myself, water boxers to put in. I usually refer people to places, and I don't actually build conversions either. Okay, so I don't have any skin in this whatsoever, really. People call me about this question all the time, so I'm gonna basically put in the description of this video what this is about. Maybe people will watch this instead of calling me. I mean, I had one guy call me a few weeks ago. He's got a bus. Okay, he's like, I want to put a Subaru in my bus. I'm like, okay. I'm like, that's doable. And he's like, it needs to be a 2017 Subaru and blah 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 blah, 200 horsepower, and my bus is an automatic. I'm like, I don't really think that's a good idea. Why not? Okay, so 30 minutes later, me talking to him about why it's not a good idea. Too much power for the car, I think, and too new of an engine because of the immobilizer and all the electronic things. He gets off the phone. Okay, I haven't made any money. Right? I've been on the phone with this man for half an hour. Haven't made any money. He didn't buy anything, but I'm trying to help him out. Okay. 2 days later, exact same person calls me up. I want to put a TDI in my bus, in my automatic bus. I'm like, no. Why not? And again, another half an hour long conversation. I mean, diesel and automatic. I haven't really heard of anybody doing that. You know, manuals, you can change the ring and pinion and change the shifting and stuff. Automatic, I think, is a terrible idea. And again, he was going with like a late model, you know, really late model TDI, which has a lot of complicated, you know, stuff and things on it. Then he was asking me about, well, what if I can get this fuel pump that's, you know, not electronic to run it? And I mean, just to be honest with you, the latest TDIs have, you know, unitized injection. They don't even have like a fuel pump. Every single injector is its own miniature fuel pump. So good luck with that. Okay, it's basically all electronic. And that was after like 2004 and on or something, I think. Maybe 5 or 6 and on. It's that. So anything newer than that is definitely going to be unitized and, you know, all electronic and whatnot. Yeah. So again, I had to talk to him for a half an hour. I don't know what he decided to do. I mean, the Subaru thing could definitely work. But you're looking at, like, say, a Subaru engine from the 90s is what most people use. Not anything in the 2015s. And, you know, you're looking at maybe a 2.5 Subaru where it has, like, 120 horsepower. Yeah, this is what I wasn't trying to discourage him about doing the Subaru thing in there. He could definitely do that in a bus. But I want him to think about, you know, why he needed 200 horsepower. Oh, well, it needs to go really fast. And it needs to go up mountains and all this other stuff. And I'm like, okay. And he's like, I'm tired of my air-cooled engine blowing up. You know, I've had the car since it was new. I put in 3 engines. I'm like, I feel your pain. I understand what you're saying. Okay, Type 4 engine is not my favorite one. Okay. I mean, the Type 1s blew up a lot too, but at least you could swap them in and out in like an hour and keep going. The Type 4s is kind of a nightmare. It's like the worst of both worlds, in my opinion. You have the unreliability of the air-cooled and the low horsepower, and you also have, and then they made it super hard to take in and out and super pain in the butt to like do anything. like change the heads, you got to strip all this tin off and take the motor out. And pretty much anything you want to do on a Type 4, you got to take the motor out. So, anyway, I don't want to rant too much on Type 4. Alright, so let me talk about Chris's idea about an electric engine, electric motor. Okay, so there's a couple that I've actually referenced to you guys before on here. They have a YouTube channel. I don't know, they're French, and it's called... I subscribe to them. Let me see if I can find them on here real quick. But they're a nice couple. They have converted a diesel synchro, okay, into they converted a diesel synchro, okay, into electric, full electric, okay, and you know, I'm not poo-pooing them at all, okay. Let's see if I got them in here. I think it's called EV World Tour or something like that. If you want to look them up, I think they're called EV World Tour, okay. And it's in French, but he has English subtitles. Okay, sorry about looking down. So I'm trying to look it up, but it's EV World Tour, I'm pretty sure. And so they did that. Very expensive. Okay, very expensive. Hello, Russian man or Russian person. So very expensive, very time consuming. I think for a while he was worried he wasn't going to get the thing running. And the range is a big problem. I mean, basically, they put in a bunch of Tesla batteries under the car, and then they're also going to have to tow a trailer with solar panels on it and more batteries in the trailer because they don't have enough range. But their goal is to go around the world. Okay, so electric one, if you wanted to have something that you could drive like maybe 30 miles total round trip, you know, that's kind of where we're at on that. And you would be spending a ton of money. You'd be spending $10,000 to $20,000 on this conversion to make basically what would be considered a glorified golf cart. Okay. This guy has spent, I have no clue how much money. He has people supporting him on Patreon and he has sponsors. Okay. And he hasn't even did his trip yet. He hasn't even started the trip yet. They're still driving it, trying to work out bugs. So we'll see what happens. I don't want to poo-poo what they're doing. I wish them the best. Okay. All right. So I got another question here from, and you know, the hybrid thing, Chris, just to be honest with you, too complicated. Okay, too complicated. It's really too complicated for a car that was made to be a hybrid. I mean, if you're gonna have a gas engine, have a gas engine. If you're gonna have an electric engine, have an electric engine. Putting both of them things together, it's twice as much things to break. That's my opinion. So, all right, we got Stefan. He's joining us here. Good to have him with us. All right, so I want to answer a question Jose was asking. Okay. I'm trying to read his question, but his English isn't so good. I don't know what he's trying to say here. The brakes of my car are going. You do not have a leader, or you get off by yourself. Maybe he means, I don't know. I'm sorry, Jose. I'm trying to understand what you're saying, but I'm having a hard time. Maybe you could rephrase it, and I could understand. He's asking a question about brakes, and I don't know what brakes. I don't know what van you have either. You know, taking off your front brakes is different depending on what year it is. So, anyway, all right. So, does anybody else have any other questions that we want to talk about? So, you've heard my ranting about, you know, the conversion thing. The conversion thing has its place. Okay, it has its place. And I don't poo-poo that at all. I've had people come here with all kinds of cool stuff. I've had people, like I said, we did Bostik ones here. If you're going to do one, I would recommend a rebuilt motor. The siren song of a used engine is hard to resist because there's lots of them out there. But to be honest with you, putting them into a heavy van, I don't really feel like they hold up that good. they're not used to that. They're used to being in a little light car. Okay, so yeah, definitely rebuilt. That's going to add a lot to your cost. Also, get the special oil pan for it. Not sure why that isn't just part of the kit. Okay. Okay, go slowly down. Alright, so Jose is asking about his brake pedal is going down slowly all the way. Have you checked your fluid level? Okay, some people don't even know where that is. How many people here know where is the brake fluid level? Okay, where to check it, right? You check it behind the instrument cluster. So there's a cover on top of there. You have to pop it off. And then once you do that, you can see the brake mesh cylinder in the center. Check the level. Make sure that it's full. Okay. If the level isn't full, and the washer bottle, yeah, that's hidden too. If the level isn't full, then you gotta add some and see where it's leaking from. Okay. Alright, so I think he's saying that it's full. Okay. If it's full, then most likely it's your master cylinder that is leaking internally. There's some O-rings inside the master cylinder that can get like cut, and then the fluid just kind of pushes from one chamber to the other, and it doesn't actually do what it's supposed to do, which is, you know, push the fluid and make the brakes, you know, engage. Instead, it just whoosh, you know, goes from one chamber to the other and doesn't actually make, you know, the fluid to engage. So anyway, so that's Jose. So if you're having no fluid loss, okay, then you want to probably get a new master cylinder. That should fix it for you. If you do have fluid loss, then you want to look under the van. If you don't see anything anywhere leaking, a lot of times it's the rear wheel cylinders inside the rear drums. It can leak inside of there, and then you can't see it. Okay, it's kind of in there till you take the drums off. Then you see all this, all this gross stuff because fluid's been leaking and brake dust. It turns into a nice brake fluid dust party. And then Jackbox, right? What about the washer bottle for the front windshield? People don't know where that is either, right? That is down by your left foot as a driver. You flip up the rug right there, and that's where the washer bottle is. Okay, it's down to the left of your pedals or whatever, right when you open the door. The guy who remakes things for me in Malaysia actually just emailed me this morning, and he actually is making reproduction washer bottles now. Okay, so did I get a price on that? Let me see. Let me check real quick. I think he actually did give me a price on it. And he's actually pretty reasonable. Okay. Alright, let's do this. He just sent me an email about this. Here it is. Okay. So, I mean, his price is good. I could probably do those for, like, a new one for, like, $60. And I think the last time I did that, that I sold, like, used ones, they're, like, going for, like, $100 now. So, this would be a new one. Be $60. Some people might be interested in that. Okay. Alright, so, if you're interested in a new washer bottle, you know, let me know in the comments, and we'll try to help you out. Alright. Yep. Okay. Looks like I have another guy from Syria. Okay. Mati Sire. Okay. Or maybe that's just his name, Mati Sire. Has a synchro four-wheel drive, 4-cylinder, head bolt is broken, all the bolts are corroded, rusty. So he wants to change them all. It's very hard. Yes, so he's talking about head studs, probably. Water box or head studs. They like to rust if you don't put the right, you know, antifreeze mix in there. Which in some, you know, hot areas, I mean, people just run straight water. Okay? That is a big no-no. Because you have an aluminum block, you have cast iron piston cylinders, you have steel head studs going through it, and it just turns into a big soup inside there pretty quick and starts corroding like crazy. So be careful about that. When we go to Belize, they don't actually sell antifreeze down there because it doesn't get cold ever. But they do have this stuff that you put in that's like antifreeze that is like made so that you don't corrode the crap out of the inside of your engine. Okay, so resist the urge for straight water. Okay, as far as removing head studs, it's hard. Like, I would say a machine shop, and take the engine out, take the heads off, take the pistons and cylinders off, take it to a machine shop, and have them do it. They may be able to. Some people take a big nut, and like weld it to the broken off stud with a welder, and then they use an air tool and a torch to heat up the aluminum and an air gun, and they'll get it off that way. Okay, or if it's broken off flush into the case, they're just going to have to drill it out. Okay, it's not something that a normal person is going to be able to do. Believe me, you need to have skill to do that. So anyway, that's my recommendation. Try to find a good machine shop near you. In some of the other countries, they actually have really good machine shops. Because they're used to having to do everything themselves, try to get things done. So maybe, hopefully, you have one near you. All right, Robert asks, what automatic transmission cooler do you recommend? Okay. The one I recommend is actually the one that's on our website, which looks like a giant computer CPU heatsink. Okay. The only downside to it is sometimes it's hard to get. Like, I was supposed to get one for a customer last week, actually 2 weeks ago. They said they were coming in and blah, blah, blah. But I tell you what, all right, so, of course, there's a big, long story on that. People have debated for years, is the Vanagon transmission cooler actually a cooler or is it a heater? Okay, because it uses antifreeze. And so, long story short is, German Transaxle did a study on it and found out that the stock cooler doesn't really do anything. It doesn't cool the transmission. It actually, if anything, heats it. Okay? So, if you just eliminate that, you're actually doing something good. Then if you put on this this heatsink version, it is actually shedding heat. Okay? They did some studies on that. It does a good job shedding heat. Now, there's other ones out there, like Go Westy sells, that has lines to it. Like the one I like, the heatsink one, it just bolts right onto the transmission, and that's it. You get rid of the water lines going. Okay, you get rid of the possibility of the coolant going inside your transmission, which, you believe me, you don't want that. Okay, a lot of times that means the transmission is over at that point. So it gets rid of a lot of problems, getting rid of those coolant lines going to the transmission cooler, getting rid of that stock transmission cooler. You put this thing on there, this block, it goes right against the transmission, seals, and that's it. Very simple. Okay, and it cools really well. Or people are like, well, I want to have this thing where it's like this remote cooler, it's got lines going to it, it's got a thermostat, and then that's really doing a lot of stuff and things. So here's my problem with that. Now you have this little radiator under the van where sticks come up and hit it, possibly. Rocks come up and hit it. Run over something. Run over cats. Cat comes up and hits it. Hopefully it still lives. I don't know. I'm not going to, say bad stuff about cats. And, anything can hit it under there. Okay? Also, you have these lines and hoses that have fittings on them that are leaking. Okay, how do I know this? Because I've been under vans that have this system, the Go Westy type system. It's probably from them, I imagine. And yeah, it's leaking at the fittings. So the more fittings you have, the more, junctions and things, the more chances of stuff leaking. And if it's leaking, then it's actually your, transmission fluid, and it could cause problems. So, yeah, I don't really recommend those kind of coolers. I recommend the one that looks like a giant computer CPU heatsink. I mean, your computer is using one right now, so it must be doing pretty good. Okay, so there you go. Excuse me, antifreeze. Okay, I've actually talked about this before on here. Back in the day, a long time ago, it was super critical to worry about antifreeze because the antifreeze was not properly formulated. Probably 10 years ago and on, it hasn't been a big deal because there's so many aluminum engines out there that pretty much any antifreeze that you could get in the last 10 years is going to be properly formulated. I personally use either Prestone 50/50 premix or Napa premix because you can get them readily available. They come with the special distilled water or whatever mixed in it. You just pour it in there and that's it. Okay, if you have a leak and you're on a trip, you go to Walmart, or well, Walmart has Prestone usually. Go to Walmart, grab some more Prestone, or go to Napa. There's tons of Napas everywhere. There's tons of Prestone. Walmart's everywhere. I mean, I've been down to the Florida Keys. There's Napa right there. I mean, there's Napas everywhere. Walmart's everywhere. You know, we still have some of the special antifreeze, the blue antifreeze, but it doesn't really, it's not really necessary anymore. If you want it, you can get it, but it's because everything has had to change the formulation. They really had no choice. They're all fine now, pretty much. I say pretty much. I haven't ran into any that weren't fine at this point in probably like the last 10 years. So that's my thing on the antifreeze. Okay, the relay diagram of the extra battery I have. I mean, I don't have one, but if you just type in Vanagon secondary battery thing into Google, you'll bring up diagrams of stuff that people have done. You can just look at that. That's usually what I do if I have, like, think about how do I do this again. I just Google search that and brings up pictures from the Samba that people have, like, diagrams they use, and I just use that. So I guess I should write my own. Then I want to do that in the future, but I don't know. I just never have bothered to do it. Okay, Robert says there's such thing as sacrificial anode, putting coolant in reservoir so it gets eaten before attacking heads. I don't know. Back in the day, there was a company. I think they were called Fast German Auto. Now, if you guys remember them, now you're showing your age, because I don't think Fast German Auto has been around in like at least 15 years. I think they went out of business. And one of the things that they made a big deal about was they had a sacrificial anode that they would stick, like, you know, in the water boxer head, they have this little drain thing in the bottom of the head. That's where you're supposed to drain the antifreeze out. By the way, most people never even know it's there. And they would screw the sacrificial anode in there, and then that was supposed to help their engines, you know, last way better than everybody else's, and all this other stuff. I mean, they went out of business like a long time ago. So I don't really know how good that worked out for them. They had all kinds of crazy ideas. They had like some kind of copper internal head gaskets that they sold, and they swore up and down that they were better than everything else. But they're gone. They've been gone for a long time. So really, Robert, my thing is just replace your antifreeze like every 4 years probably. You know, you can just drain whatever you can drain. You're not going to get all of it, but drain whatever you can drain every 4 years. Put in all new, and you're good. You don't need sacrificial anodes. When I run into problems, it's because people have never done it, ever. It's been like 10 years, 15 years since they've ever messed with their antifreeze. If you have an internal head gasket leak where it's like pushing, you know, combustion into the coolant, that actually turns the coolant into a corrosive. And so a lot of times people have problems because of that. They have a head gasket leak and it's actually corroding, you know, turning the coolant into like an acid type thing. I think. I don't know, it could be a base. I don't know. Something. But it's corrosive. And the longer they let that go, the worse it gets. And the other thing I've seen is the new heads. Okay, so we have the AMC heads. We've been selling them for like 20 years almost. And to be honest with you, they hold up a lot better, it seems like, than the original heads did. I don't know, they changed like what kind of alloy it's made out of. It's a nicer alloy. It seems to be better quality. And sadly, I've had to take apart, you know, engines that I put those heads on because the bottom end blew up. Okay, and when I did that, but the heads were pretty much new. I mean, they were been on there for like a few years. Okay, one of them, I think it was on there for 10 years, and this lady blew the engine up, and then she was like, sold me the van. So I said, I'm going to take these heads off because they still look nice, and they didn't have a lot of miles on them, but they had been in the van for like 10 years. So I took them off. There weren't no pitting at all. Okay, there's no pitting at all on this. So, I really like the AMC heads. I think they're a great product, and we've been selling them, for a long time. We've been installing them for a long time. Very, very few problems. All right, Chris is asking, how much does the van hold for antifreeze? So, Vanagon coolant system, I think, is around 4.8 gallons is what it's saying. But I'll tell you a little secret that I've been running into that seems to work pretty good. So, say you're working on your van and you're doing stuff and things, and you forget, how much oil does it hold? Okay, or how much antifreeze does it hold? Or this and that. Okay, I have a Google phone, right? Android phone. A lot of people have them. A lot of people have the iPhone. I don't know about that because I don't use iPhones. But I will say that I have been busy working on these cars, and I forget about. Actually, usually it's like one of my daughter's cars or Jettas or something. And I will say, hey, Google, how much oil does this, whatever take? And it'll actually tell me. So, in other words, yes, Steve, it's in the owner's manual. But also, you can easily Google search. You can easily Google search for any kind of really technical data thing that you could want. You could Google search it. Okay? And you just ask Google about it. You ask Siri about it. Most likely, it'll tell you, speak it to you. Okay? And, I like talking to people. I like talking to you guys. But I'm sad to tell you, some people try to use me as Siri or as this app. Because they will call me on the phone. Ken, I just want to, right now, I'm changing my oil. How much oil does a Vanagon take? Okay? And I tell them, I know. But you could easily Google search that, and it would take you less time than calling me onto the phone, right? And I'm busy doing something, and, it would save me time, too. So, Google search is your friend. If you have a question about any kind of quantity, you can type it in, Google it, it will tell you. If you want to know what kind of oil, say, what kind of oil goes into a Vanagon manual transmission, type that in. It will tell you. Okay? If you want to know pretty much any of these things, it's been online so long, Google can easily find that information for you. Even if you don't have a book. Now, I would definitely recommend getting a Bentley manual. Okay? I mean, Steve's right. The Bentley manual has it right in there. You can easily look that up. Okay? And, again, I'm not trying to be a jerk or anything. I like talking to you guys. But these calls about, hey, Ken, how much, or what kind of oil goes in there and how much? Okay, bye, click. Okay, I mean, that's nice, but what does that do for me? You see what I'm saying? What does that do for me? Okay, I help you, that's good. You're a customer, that's fine. Okay, but, it's tying me up. Somebody else could be calling, right, to ask about their broken down or whatever. Yeah, I really should start a 1-900 number, but I'll tell you what will happen, Steve. People was thinking, call the like, I have an 800 number now, and on it I say, if you need a part, and people will be like, I'm calling about a part, but I need to ask some questions first. I'm like, okay, fine. And they ask all these questions, and like, okay, bye. Like, no. No, okay, I'm sorry, but no. You're buying something. You're using the 800 number. If you need a question, you're asking questions, you call the regular number. Okay, don't call the 1-800 number. Now, I think on my new things. I can't remember if I even had the regular number on there or not. So, I mean, it doesn't really bother me on that. It's just, I'm just saying. So, if you have a 1-900 number, I've thought about doing that. I used to work on a website called Just Answer or Just Ask. I can't remember if it's called Just Answer now. I worked on that for a whole month, you know, and I made $1,000 in 1 month on there. Answering questions, okay? But I tell you what, you were strapped to your chair for that month. I mean, people are messaging you and asking you this, asking you that, and you have to like be super fast, get back to them like instantly, immediately, or you lose that money, and then they give you a tip and everything. I mean, it would be nicer to maybe have a 1-900 number and say, hey, it's so much per minute, and that would be something. I don't know. I have to look into it. If you guys know anything about that, some way to set it up that isn't super crazy, you know, maybe we can do something like that. Because, you know, I like to help people, and if they're buying something, that helps me, so we help each other. But if it's just like I said, if you're using me as your personal assistant, you know, that's what this is for. Okay, this is your personal assistant. This is your AI person, and they will help you. Believe me. Okay, or your little computer. Say, I don't have none of them phones. I don't like that. Them phone technologies. Okay, but you got a computer. You're watching me right now on something. Okay, it's a computer. Okay, computer has Google search. Okay, you know, just try it. All I'm asking is just try it. If you can't find the answer, then call me up, and I will help you. But if you can try it and you do get the answer, then you're like, wow, I got the answer and it was real fast, right? You know, and you know, the other part that cracks me up is people ask me all these really, you know, questions like, I need to know exactly about this kind of oil to put in the motor. I need exactly this filter. I need to know this. I need to know that. And then when they go to do some really big thing, they don't ask me until after they do it, and then they're like, hey, guess what? I did this, and I hope it works out. Like a person bought a motor, a rebuilt motor from a certain company that the first letter starts with a G, and their last letter starts with is an X. I'm not going to tell you what company it is, but the first letter is a G and the last letter is an X. I don't want to say the actual name because then I will probably get sued or something. But I will say that I get a lot of calls about their motors, and the calls that I get are scary. Okay, so this guy, he has a van. He asks me all kinds of questions all the time about it. How do I do this? How do I do that? And he buys stuff too, which is good. But he asked me about every single thing. Okay. Then the other day, he sends me a message. Yeah, I just bought a motor from this company that shall remain nameless, and you know, I hope it turns out good. I said, I wish you had asked my advice first, because I would have told you to avoid them like the plague. Stay away. Now, if you guys ask me about it, I will tell you about them in a private way, not on here, because I don't want to get in trouble. But yeah, scary. Okay, so many scary stories on those guys. Believe me, and I've known about. I haven't dealt with them, but I've known about their aftermath for like 20 years, and it hasn't changed. My experiences with them. Now, my experience is not direct. It's always through another person that's bought their motor and had issues and problems. So, you know, in a way, that's another reason why I don't really want to come out and say things, because then I might get in trouble, because it's hearsay. Okay? But when you hearsay something all the time, then, you know, is there good motors? Did they build some good motors? I think sometimes that actually the guy down in Belize, his motor's from them, and it works, but it has some weird issues, and I've never understood why. I think it's the camshaft is weird. But anyway, all right. So I got a question. Okay. Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm looking at Modi Seer again. Can I use an eccentric extractor with a few burning? I'm thinking he's thinking about like a stud extractor. I mean, you can do that, but those things are in there. And if you use a torch and a stud extractor, maybe. But if you have a machine shop locally, I would use them. Believe me, you save yourself a lot of heartache. If you drill into that case, which is soft aluminum, you pretty much ruined it. Okay, so saving a few dollars from not going to the machine shop is not worth it. And, you know, if you have a skilled person, they can do it. Alright, so Robert is asking another question. Simple recharge with Red Tech may do the job. It may need R12 or R32 adapters for high and low. What adapters are needed? Okay, so I've never used Red Tech. I think Red Tech is propane based, so I've never really used it. I usually just put R134A into, you know, the Vanagon AC system, and it usually does really well. You can buy adapters in Walmart for that, like a conversion kit that comes with adapters that just screw on to the ports. I'm trying to remember, Red Tech, I mean, usually any place that sells Red Tech would probably have adapters and things for it. But I've never used Red Tech. I did use a product called Freeze 12 back in the day, which is kind of similar to Red Tech because it's like a blend. The problem with these other Freons, and I'm going to get ready to get off because I've been on here for a while. But the problem with these other blend Freons, like Freeze 12, possibly Red Tech, although I've never actually used them, is that they're a blend. Okay, so you have some kind of base like propane, then you have some other things that kind of helps it work better. The problem is that as it leaks, which they all leak, okay, the different blended refrigerant that's in there leaks out at different rates. Okay, so unless you're ready to evacuate the system and recharge it again with the original blend of Red Tech or the original blend of Freeze 12 or whatever, it actually kind of changes how the system works. Like, it doesn't work as good. So, I mean, that's what I was finding. Like, the Freeze 12 would work great until it started leaking and you had to recharge it, and then it wouldn't work as good. And then you would try to recharge it again, and it wouldn't work as good. And the Vanagon systems leak like crazy. So you're recharging them sometimes a couple of times a summer. If I use the 134A, I can recharge as many times as I want. Doesn't really change the blending of it because it isn't a blend. It's a straight refrigerant and pretty cheap. I mean, I was in Walmart the other day. 134A cost, cans was going for like $2 and something. I mean, it's weird. They talk about getting rid of it, and I just bought a new LG refrigerator. Guess what it uses for its refrigerant? 134A. I don't know how that happened. Maybe they have a big 134A plant in China or something. I don't know, but they were talking about phasing it out. They talking about phasing that in cars like 10 years ago. They're going to phase it out, and they were going to use CO2. Yeah, that's turned out good. That whole thing has turned into a nightmare. Alright, so I could ramble on. I have another thing to ramble about, but I'm not going to do it today, guys. So I guess that's it for today, guys. We talked about a bunch of different things. Hope we helped you guys out. Please like, share, and subscribe. We want to thank Chris Snyder. We want to thank Peter Benici. We want to thank Eric Schneider. These are our 3 guys so far who have chosen to support us on Patreon. If you want to support us on Patreon, you can go there, type in Vanagon, and you will see us. Okay, you can subscribe for as little as $5 a month, and that gets you our undying gratitude. It gets you mentioned on all of our videos. Okay, and it helps us out. Okay, so once we get back from our vacation, we'll be making some more videos about the Karat. We're also going to be possibly doing some videos while we're down there, if we possibly can, to, you know, show you guys what this Mexican bus looks like. And again, I like helping people, and we appreciate you guys. You help us out. I mean, like I said, this last year, parts sales was awesome. Just about every day somebody calls me to buy a part or order a part, and they mention the YouTube channel. So I know it's definitely helping us a lot. And I just say thanks to you guys. You know, you guys supporting us keeps us going, keeps me happy and smiling. I get more smiles per gallon because of that. So thank you guys so much for being there for us. We'll continue to be there for you guys. And, you know, just hope you guys have a great weekend. Enjoy your weekend. And hopefully the weather is getting better. We can start using our vans and enjoying our vans. So thank you guys for coming out. And we will see you guys next week. Hopefully we'll maybe do a video from Belize. All right, have a great one, guys. Thank you.